cities to realign their rodents' middle line, but sometimes you just don't have time.
You can win up to $500 in Wrangler Casino. I'm not kidding. No scams.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Try.
You can win up to
I was trying to say.
I turned you off. You're off.
Offered assistance.
You're off. Okay, do you wanna do the intro for this one?
Sure. Hold on.
You've been doing it
I
for
have
the last
notes
couple of
for
follow-ups.
an intro.
You're ready.
Welcome to the Post Credits Podcast, where today we are learning to let go at the Sierra Madre Casino as we review the next 2 episodes of Fallout Season 2. I'm Logan.
I'm Jesse,
And I'm Max.
and this is the 3rd episode of The End Times New Vegas. Our 2 episode at a time review of Fallout Season 2. As previously mentioned, we will be reviewing episodes 5 and 6. Episode 5 is titled The Wrangler. Episode 6 is titled The Other Player.
Yeah, I will say these 2 episodes have been, to say the least, very packed, very dense.
Yeah,
Very- yeah,
a
very
lot of moving parts, as I'm sure we'll get into with our discussion.
And it really does feel like at this point they're bringing all of the storylines kind of back together. In the first couple episodes of both the show and this review, we discussed how it felt like they were leaving 1 or 2 storylines out of each episode. In this one, it really feels like we're getting almost every storyline every episode, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even still, we're branching into more and more
There's still more
storylines.
separations and
The
stuff.
storylines combine. A whole bunch of stuff is happening.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that it feels like it's doing what a good season of TV, at least at this length, should do, where like the first 4 episodes are like set up, last 4 are essentially like payoff, or we're starting to get like answers to questions that we've had since the beginning.
In
Which-
more exciting news, Jesse has started playing Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, I finally got the game. Yeah, I'm playing the game. I might have, not for this episode because I only just started, but maybe for the next episode, I'll have a little bit more information on what's actually happening in this show in terms of specific terms. But I still think Logan is going to take most of that responsibility here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
As of now, I'm kind of a spectator in terms of Fallout stuff.
The reason I mentioned the Sierra Madre in today's opening was because of a certain movie poster in that DLC, which hosts a certain Cooper Howard in a movie Under the Covers.
Stars.
Cooper
This is a film podcast. We should.
The reason. All right.
I didn't know that. I thought they made him up. for
Yeah,
the show.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
All right. Should we jump into the plot of this thing? Because episode 4 left off on a pretty huge cliffhanger. As you might recall, Lucy is now addicted to Buff Out. And she's become really gung-ho about fighting and about shooting people. And when they finally made it to New Vegas in some capacity, they were attacked by these giant monsters called Death Claws. And we saw Death Claws in some of the pre-bomb drop segments. They're huge, formidable creatures. Just really, really big and really scary, and they kill a lot of people. And Lucy wants to fight them. That's where we start for episode 5. We start back with the Ghoul and Lucy, surrounded by all these Death Claws. There's actually 4 of them.
Yeah, which at least at the end of the episode 4, it seemed like there was just one. But at the start of 5, there's obviously more than that.
Right.
Yeah, it's a whole nest of them.
Yeah, definitely not chickens that were in those eggs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lucy, but they were not chickens.
Yeah, so they run away and they hide behind a car. The Ghoul's like, I don't know what to do. We're kind of screwed, until he sees dog meat run through a gap in a fence nearby. So the Ghoul's like, all right, and he throws some explosives at the Death Claws while he scrambles outside, and he ends up in Freeside. So the Ghoul and Lucy are now in Freeside. Lucy is starting to have some withdrawal effects from Buff Out.
Another thing,
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Freeside is very populated, which is good to see, and kind of strange in terms of where they came from, because in the last episode we talked about how in their first encounter in the outskirts of the New Vegas Strip. They didn't really encounter anyone except the ghoulified Kings gang, but now there seems to be a very bustling population in Freeside.
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know how unpopulated it was before, but now it's there's a lot of people there, and it's a lot of people who are kind of apathetic towards basically everything, and they even say later on, Lucy tries to rob the store, and she finds a naked body in the trash, and the shopkeeper's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of normal for people to try to rob stores naked, which kind of gives you a sense for what
Which
kind
is
of place Freeside is.
very interesting. Very interesting that people would choose to do that. But, I mean, it's Fallout.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
The ghoul gives Lucy some caps to go and buy some Addictol, which is the thing that cures buff out addiction. And so she goes to the store. That whole sequence starts, and she ends up stealing the Addictol.
Yeah, fully clothed, by the way.
Fully clothed. She steals the Addictol.
Fully clothed.
She steals like a power fist.
Yeah.
Like some glove that makes her punches really powerful.
Yeah.
And then she shoots the shopkeeper.
Yeah,
So-
the glove kind of reminded me, in was it Godzilla X or X Kong, whatever the first one was, like the power glove that Kong has, or the one that he
Yeah,
gets.
the power gauntlet. Yeah.
That's what it kind of reminded me of. I know maybe too niche of a reference, but I guess when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's Kong's gauntlet.
I'll do you one better. It's the same, I guess, mechanism type thing as the one on Caesar's skeleton back when we first encountered the Legion. His displacer glove, that was another type of power fist.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah, more Fallout specific. Yeah.
I'll do you another one better. It's an NES power glove.
Ooh.
If any of you know what that is.
I know what that is.
Not off the top of my head, no. Maybe if I saw a
It was
picture. I would.
notoriously bad.
It was
That's
yeah,
all
it's
I know.
one of the worst controllers of all time. Why did they do it? No one knows. The ghoul goes to this bar to try to get wasted, and the bartender is trying to make conversation with him. The Death Claws have taken over the New Vegas Strip, and
Yeah,
kind of
and-
flushed out the New California Republic, the Legion, and he also mentions the Securitrons.
Yeah, the bartender is played by, I forgot the name of the actor, but he played Ibram in The Bear, so that was cool to see.
He is Edwin Lee Gibson, I
Yeah.
believe is his name. Yes, he does. He plays Ibrahim in The Bear. We then get a good old pre-war flashback, and we kind of catch up with Hank McClane in the pre-war era. He's kind of like he's less powerful than I think we were led to believe in some of these earlier episodes, because basically he's just the guy that Cold Fusion is chained to, right? It's attached to him. He kind of carries it around, but he's just a really excited underling of Robert House, essentially. Cooper, as we have previously discussed, he is supposed to kill Robert House. That's why he's at this convention with his wife, Barbara Howard. He doesn't want to do that. He says that he's going to stop the bombs from dropping, right? He's going to stop Robert House from dropping the bombs, but he's not going to kill a guy to do it. He's going to get Cold Fusion back, and he knows where Cold Fusion is because it's in Hank's briefcase, right? That's his immediate assumption. There's a little scene where we get the congresswoman from a previous flashback, the only congresswoman not backed by corporate sponsors. She's protesting. She gets thrown out from like the building that she was protesting at. Cooper helps her out. Like she gets knocked down. Cooper helps her up. He says, "Keep fighting the good fight." And then he goes inside and is met by Mr. House, who we know is not Mr. House. It's the Rafi Silver Mr. House, who is the fake Mr. House.
So I'd say this episode
And the
especially
tone or
makes that
whatever.
very clear.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
then
cool. Like, I like to see him, Rafi Silver's Mr. House, more incorporated, as much as I was surprised to see like that wasn't like actually him. So
right.
they're utilizing him.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of funny because throughout this whole series we've been talking about how good Justin Theroux is doing at playing Robert House.
Yeah, which he is great
Yeah.
at. Yeah, it's Justin Theroux doing his thing.
Yeah, but then Rafi Silver ironically feels like a really good body double for Mr. House. You know,
Yeah.
a guy who
Great
plays
casting.
who plays him, but he doesn't play him quite right. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
He's like his own guy, really.
And Cooper is shocked to find out that Mr. House had actually talked to him in the bathroom in a previous flashback, at which Cooper told him off. We then get back to the snake oil salesman from season 1. This is the guy that turned Thaddeus into a ghoul.
And for a fusion core.
Right. He's played by John Daly. And he meets Hank, right? And Hank kind of kidnaps him, brings him to a Vault-Tec facility where he puts a mind control chip in the back of his neck. And we actually see Hank says, how would you like to forget everything you've ever had? He doesn't do a very good job selling it. He's like, how would you like to forget everything you've ever known? All of your cherished memories will be gone forever, and you'll never remember them ever again. And the snake oil salesman says, yes, please. And we actually see Hank kind of turning up the dial on the chip, which usually results in heads exploding, but it doesn't result
the way
in his
that's
head
shot,
exploding.
it's shot in the same way as the one guy whose head did explode. The camera panned away towards the window to suggest that his head is gonna explode, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. We then get to the Vault-Tec headquarters. We're catching up with Norm and the gang. They meet up with Majun and Barry from season 1. And they basically say, look, your sister came in, and I gave her one piece of advice. Go home, because this place will chew you up and spit you out. And Norm says, nope, I disagree. And Majun says, like, your sister's dead. There's no other way to put it other than your sister's dead. And Norm says, I don't think so. I don't think that's true. They also have a roach farm, they said.
Which is interesting.
Sure.
It's just one of those things where it's like they mention it and it doesn't come back up, and I'm like, how is that set up or is that like a joke?
Or is it a reference?
Farm?
Yeah.
We saw the door of the roach farm, and we saw like banging on the door, and there were roaches going like me in there. But
I mean,
I guess maybe it's like what they're up to.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Somebody would have had to domesticate them at one point or another.
yeah. But basically, the two women leave, and as long as the other people don't touch the roach farm, they're all good. And then we go back to Las Vegas in the flashback. Robert House is talking to Cooper, and he says, I saw the death claw that you saw when you were in Alaska. This is something that we saw in a previous episode in a pre-war cold open.
So House has access to the power armor that he was wearing there,
Right.
is the idea.
And Robert House has this really good speech where he's like, look, my job is to know everything before it happens, right? My job is to have an unquenching desire for knowledge, and this new thing is cold fusion.
This new variable,
Right.
pretty much, because it's very in character for him, and they play so faithful to his character in this speech. I'd say I really liked how they portrayed him this way. Very mathematical, very pragmatic, and he talks about how Cooper Howard or cold fusion puts a wrench in his plans.
Right. And we get a couple of good setup moments. House says he wants to upload himself into a computer to survive the war.
Yeah, very Arnim Zola type stuff. If you ever see Captain America.
Yeah, he also says that Vault-Tec will not drop the bombs. Cooper Howard believes that Vault-Tec plans to drop the bombs. Robert House doesn't think so. Robert House doesn't know who's going to drop the bombs, but he has been running mathematical equations to figure out the date the bombs will drop. The original date was Cooper's daughter's birthday. And then when Cooper showed up in Las Vegas, along with Barb, it jumped forward by 1 month. And House does not know why.
Yeah. I will say the whole interaction that Robert House has with Cooper Howard is really great.
Yeah, the way House gets like really mad because he doesn't know what's gonna happen. Like, it kind of breaks his pragmatism a bit in a way, and yeah, it's a different side to him that we usually don't see.
Yeah, especially the final monologue he gives, like when he has the cap on and Cooper is running up the stairs. And he's like talking about his plan, and then like Cooper gets in the elevator and he's like all sweating and stuff.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Starts drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and House also, he owns these casinos, right? and his slogan is "The house always wins."
That's the tagline for his
for his casino
entire
business.
quest line.
That's the worst title. Like that's the worst tagline for a casino.
Yeah, it's
The
not
whole-
it's not a great
Always
tagline for that
The
sort of
only
thing.
way that you sell your casino is by making people believe that they can beat the house. If the house always wins, why would you bet any money? But basically, he says he doesn't know if he's the house. Ooh.
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 Ah.
We then get back to Norm's storyline. Norm meets, well, he doesn't meet, but he sees that Claudia, played by Rachel Marsh, is crying alone in an office. Because, everything is gone. This is, 200 years in the future, 219 years in the future?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Claudia has only worked at Vault Tech for 1 week total. Because she signed on 6 days before, and then she's been asleep for 219 years, right? And they have a conversation which is revealed that Claudia knows that Norm isn't actually Bud Askin's successor. And who overhears that but this other guy named Ronnie. Ronnie's really upset about it because Claudia seems to be the only one that's kind of cool with Norm not being an actual leader. And Norm is poking around on a computer and he discovers something called FEV.
The forced evolutionary virus. Yeah.
Right. Which was previously introduced to him as the Future Enterprises Ventures.
Yeah.
But then he looks it up and it's actually forced evolutionary virus.
Which is what turns people into super mutants, pretty much. So there's further confirmation that they will be here, as we will discuss a lot later. But yeah, it also does suggest Vault-Tec may have played a role in the creation of it. I believe it was originated from the U.S. government as a means to make super soldiers, but that kind of fell apart. Shoot, what was it called? In Fallout 4, the Institute, they are also developing their own strain of FEV. You see the Master in Fallout 1, and you see, FEV, it's very widespread, and everyone's trying to make him.
Yeah, and so we don't really get to know what that is because Ronnie actually pulls the plug on the computer and tries to strangle Norm and succeeds, actually. Yeah, so he succeeds. Norm almost dies. I think it's revealed he doesn't die in the episode. Like, he takes a breath even though it seems like he had passed out and was dying.
Yeah.
But he doesn't die. We then go back to Freeside. Lucy has the Addictol. She takes it. She vomits up a whole bunch. Then she goes back to the hotel room where the ghoul is waiting. She vomits again. And then who's in there but the snake oil salesman? The salesman says that Hank is safe. He's in this underground facility. And the salesman says that he wants the ghoul to take Lucy back to her vault. And in doing so, he reveals that Barbara, Cooper's wife, and Janie, Cooper's daughter, are both safe in cryo chambers in a vault.
As was revealed beforehand, right?
Yeah, or I guess implied.
It was implied. Basically,
But I think this episode. Sorry, wait.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I think in this episode I guess they show the chambers that they're being held in.
Yeah.
Like episode 5.
Yeah, they show
So I
it.
think it's
Yeah,
just his family's in there.
But they show it afterwards, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but in this episode, it's revealed that they're in there.
and the ghoul's whole journey is predicated on the fact that they have to be alive. He believes them to be alive. And it's only this episode that we get concrete revelation that yes, they are.
Which is kind of weird because Janie was going off on the horse with...
Yeah, with Cooper in the
Cooper.
opening of the whole series.
Yeah.
So how did she get there? I don't know. They'll probably explain that later. The ghoul shoots Lucy with a tranquilizer dart and says, well, I guess we're going. And then Lucy takes out her power fist, punches the ghoul out of the window. He's impaled on a pole. And yeah, he gets stabbed right through the center of his body, and then he slides all the way down. It's oh man.
Yeah.
That's
It's gotta hurt.
that ain't.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna leave a mark.
Yeah, at the very least. And yeah, credits roll on episode 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the so-called quote unquote friendship between Lucy and the ghoul is broken there.
Right.
Yeah.
That obviously the ghoul was using her to get his family back. Like he never really actually cared for her.
So what do we think?
Like, in retrospect, it definitely wasn't as dense as episode 6 is gonna be, as we're gonna talk about, but definitely did reveal a lot. Like, with the Howardses being alive and the FEV like hints and all that stuff.
Yeah, it reveals a lot. It sets up a lot, pays off a lot as well, right? Like we're really getting somewhere with a lot of these plots. There's strife in the Norm plot. There's a whole split up in the Lucy and the Ghoul plot. Maximus is mercifully absent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's interesting stuff happening in post-war and pre-war. I think up to this point of episodes 1 through 5, 5 is the best one.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree. And coming off, I thought episode 4 was the best one, and then episode 5 I watched episode 5, and I was like, episode 5 is the best one.
Yeah.
We'll get to episode 6, but I'll hope that kind of continues that. But I feel like episode 5 is definitely a step in the right direction, to where it's just like they're doing a lot of things that I'm hoping they're doing,
They're
especially
gonna
like with the
pay off.
story. Yeah,
They
paying
do
off
have a
that
lot
stuff.
to pay off, and I hope they do that very concisely and cleanly. That's a word? Concisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
it
think
seems
so.
like
I think it's a word.
it seems like there's like a overarching like through line through like the many storylines. Like to me, it never really came off as overcrowded, even though most times when I say like there's a lot going on, like it does come off as overcrowded. But I feel like here it's just like majority of the storylines I think are really interesting. And then once we talk about episode 6, I feel like they're definitely bridging things together that I feel like makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this episode's a step in the right direction in doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And this is also around the point in the first season where things started getting really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, every plot was sort of starting to come together. And definitely in episode 6, it's like there's a lot of stuff occurring. And I think this actually rectifies one of the biggest issues that I had with episode 4. Or not necessarily rectifies, but just does it differently. Where in episode 4, it really felt like there were some things that were just like they didn't add much to the plot, and they were really just solely for Fallout fans. The Elvis impersonator ghouls from that episode, I don't know.
You didn't
man.
like
I
them?
didn't like them.
Oh.
If they added a little bit more to the plot, if there was something they were doing with them, I would have appreciated
If
them
they
more.
were ghouls.
I mean, forget if they weren't ghouls, but just like show, like, why do you have these Elvis impersonators in here?
What if Austin Butler played one?
That would be cool, mostly because it suggests some really weird things about the universe this takes place in.
Yeah. Just have him and Kurt Russell showed up as the two actors that have played or no, him, Kurt Russell, and Jacob Elordi, the 3 actors that have played Elvis Presley, at least to my knowledge.
There's probably been more, but I mean, you could have Elvis himself show up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole industry on Elvis impersonators.
Is it
know?
an industry or is it like a
Eh.
hobby?
I mean, enough people do it, right?
Do
Or
they
is it
make
just
money
me?
off
What,
of it?
nowadays? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is
The-
it
I feel
still a
like-
thing?
I mean, now that everybody knows that Elvis didn't actually die. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I even kind of like what Jesse, like what you were saying. Like for me, I didn't take too much of an issue with that. I guess not. I guess it wasn't something that I took issue with. But I feel like it's kind of the unanswered questions that when you're watching a show week to week, because I know the first season dropped all at once, so it's just like when you binge them all, it's just like okay, like that felt like it flowed through. Whereas like you're eagerly anticipating an episode week to week, it's just like, you know, at the same point, like you're theorizing, you're coming up with all these things, but at the same time, you're like nervous. Is this going to pay off? Which,
Right.
thankfully, with this show, at least for me, it seems like they're heading in that direction. But it's also kind of nerve wracking to where it's just like, wait, this, you know, where it's like one episode after one after another, to where it's just like, it's so much uncertainty, I guess, with the way that these things are done.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because now I know who people are in these shows because Logan's watching it with, or if it's actually a thing. But I feel like there's a lot more references to the games in the season than there was in the first.
I mean, the New Vegas stuff, kind of, I would say.
I mean, you kind of have to. Like, it's...
I suppose.
Yeah. it helps flesh the world out. And even for me, as someone who's never played the game or has never fully played a game before, like for me, it's just like I think it's cool a lot of the world building that they're doing, which is one of the things I loved about the first season, and one thing I really like about this season is the world building that they're doing, especially with New Vegas. Like it's really, really cool, especially in the Cooper Howard flashback. Like it's really impressive stuff how they're able to pull it off.
Because, like, what they add to it, it's not just building off of the very solid foundation. They're, like, actually adding new, like, stuff, like the mind control chip, for example, and, like, the particular experiment with the Vaults 31 and 33. That's new.
Yeah.
And, like, the way ghouls stop becoming feral with the whatever drug they're taking. That's cool.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just like it's a story set in the world of the
Yeah.
games, but I feel like the story they're telling, at least it seems really interesting.
And I will say, I disagree on the point that the world building is well done in this season.
Oh.
It's probably mostly because it's not over, but I feel like right now and especially in episode 6, and there's one thing in episode 6 that's like, what is happening through that entire plot? That it doesn't feel like we're adding anything, or rather, it doesn't feel like we're explaining anything. It feels like we're adding things, and it's not really making the world richer. It's just like, oh, this world has death claws. I don't know what that means. I know what a death claw looks like. I don't know what it is.
I think that I think that also just goes into the point of, as much as they do build off of the foundation, they just add to the foundation and make it, like, just reference it. Because,
Right.
like, I mean, it's very easy to build off of a world that's already established. With New Vegas especially, compared to the first season, like you said, New Vegas is a lot more of a predetermined, pre-established, like, location in the Fallout universe rather than somewhere in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I think I'm a little less high on the season than the other two, like you two. It is just that maybe it's just not finished, but as of right now, I have so many more questions about things that it feels like we've moved on from. You know, like,
Yeah.
'cause, like, what actually is a Deathclaw? We got one scene with Deathclaws in Alaska. We know that Robert House knows what a Deathclaw is, and we saw a scene with 4 Deathclaws early in this episode that they waved away in the first 5 minutes. What are we actually doing with these creatures, and what do they mean for the world at large? What are they? Where do they come from? Why isn't this something that we're exploring? And I know, I'm like pretty sure there's going to be a Fallout Season 3, and I'm getting a little worried that we're just going to rush through all the setup in this season and then leave it to Season 3 to kind of answer some of those questions. And that's going to be a really frustrating experience, I think.
Yeah.
So I
for me,
think-
I'm not concerned about that.
Yeah, I think
I'm not
you're
concerned about
less worried about knowing what a death claw is rather than what are they going to do with the death claws.
So, I mean, it is like if they do something really cool and really interesting with the Death Claws that I didn't expect, or like they could do something really cool with the Death Claws in episode 7 or episode 8, right? Mm-hmm. I still feel like there are just some additions to this world that they're throwing in there, and I know that they're in the games. They're from the games. I have no problems with them being from the games, and the games probably give their own story. But if the show isn't going to give any story about them, isn't going to do something with the Death Claws, I mean, because they put them in pre-war, I would expect to get some information on them pre-war.
Yeah.
And then they put them in post-war, which is where you're able to pay off what you set up in pre-war. That's kind of why this dynamic works. It doesn't feel like they did any of that. The setup that they did was there are Death Claws here and there are Death Claws there, and they didn't even do anything especially interesting with the Death Claws there. Mm-hmm. So I'm just a little concerned, and especially because then they add another thing in episode 6 that's like its whole other deep thing. And it's like, we only have 2 episodes left. We have 2 hours left. Are you going to wrap all of this up in a way that makes me satisfied with the story that you've given me about all these things? And I don't think these episodes are bad, but they concern me slightly, and I think that part of them is not well done. The story they're telling, I still think is fantastic.
Yeah. Because everything you just said about this is like copy and paste for me with season 1. I had that exact same fear watching season 1 because I didn't binge it all in one day. Like, watching season 1, I had so many questions, and I was like, one of my big concerns when I was binging it, especially with my dad, Like, are they going to resolve any of this? And season 1 really impressed me, like especially with how they resolved it, that they're both able to give answer to the overarching storyline, but also leave things in a place where it's just like, okay, the main objective of this season of Lucy trying to find her dad is done, but it's also like where they ended. I'm like, I can't wait to see what they do. So I'm not personally concerned in episode 6 when we discuss it. I'm even less concerned about it. But I could be wrong. I mean, we could see, but I guess kind of part of watching a show week to week is that you're always unsure of how they're going to resolve things.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about having a show go week to week rather than just all at once. You have more time to theorize and to like think about what is going to happen, even if it concerns you. So it's totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where it's like, I don't know, because they haven't done any work of telling me where these things come from, I don't know where they're going to go in the future, right? So I'm less interested in thinking about what is going to happen in episode 7 and 8 versus like eventually just watching it, right? Just kind of waiting for that next episode to come out, because I don't know where, is it realistic to expect they're going to do something with the death clause in episode 7 and episode 8? I don't know, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
If they go back to the strip, I guess.
Yeah, because the
I mean, they'd
introduction,
have to
because
go
the
back
introduction
to
of this
strip.
was interesting, because they tied to Cooper Howard's like past. We know he's had encounters with them before, and we know that he and his team didn't know what they were. We know they're running around New Vegas. But it's just like, they're creatures that exist in this world, and that Cooper Howard has had interactions with them in the past, and especially when they show up, like you can obviously see that it has ties to him. So there's a side to that, but I also get what you're saying. That's just like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's enough development there. At least it's just like, there's creatures in this world that ties to Cooper Howard, especially his past. Yeah, I guess for me, like, it doesn't, like, that side in particular, like, it doesn't read me as too much of a concern.
Fair enough. It's just, it might just be a me thing, and it might just be a thing where it's like, I'm almost not concerned with how they pay it off as much as I'm concerned with how they're going to set it up, because I still think they need to set it up.
Yeah. On a kind of separate note, do you want to know what they say about death claws on the Fallout wiki?
Yeah, sure.
What?
Death claws are a species of genetically engineered reptilian creatures originating from experiments by the United States government to create superior battlefield soldiers capable of carrying out high-risk search and destroy missions in place of humans. So, basically, lizard super mutants.
It was kind of hinted at a little bit earlier, but
I don't really think it. I mean, especially not knowing what a super mutant is.
I mean, like, them being in a battlefield and killing off the Chinese soldiers, that kind of implies that they were meant for that position. Like, where are you going to see a death claw in pre-war America except for a war
Well, so here's the thing. For me,
setting?
I didn't know the death claws were man-made.
That's fair.
There's nothing to suggest they are, really. And we know that aliens exist in this world. We've seen one. We've seen an alien. These could be alien creatures. These could be completely natural for all I know. So seeing them on a battlefield, maybe they just live in Alaska.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, so
I
that's
can see how that can go over
Right.
your head.
So, I mean, I think we're kind of circling the drain on this issue. But,
yeah, a little bit. And then also, I feel like before we jump into episode 6,
Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned this, but also Hank shows up at the end of it. I don't know if we touched on that, to where he shows up next to Lucy after she's passed out.
yes. Lucy passes out and Hank shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just popped into my head. I was like, oh, wait, I forgot Hank was... Yeah, that's probably a big part for recapping.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming everybody who's listening to this has seen it.
Should we jump into episode 6?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we start at Vault-Tec headquarters, but pre-war. Barb is being briefed on a couple of other things. They're talking about how on the billboards, one 10-megaton blast looks better than one 5-megaton blast, or it's going to be multiple 5-megaton blasts on Los Angeles, but the posters look better to have one 10-megaton blast. That's actually, I think, one of the best scenes in the show thus far, which is kind of weird to say because it's like not a lot happens, but it's an interesting way of looking at that from like an advertising perspective. So then Rafi Silver Robert House, pulls Barb into a meeting with Hank McClane sitting in on it. He introduces the brain control chip. He calls it the Automated Man. Barb says like, "Oh, you'll have many vaults to do with it, whatever you want, right? Because every vault has its own experiment." But House says, "No, you're paying me for it. You're going to give me cold fusion. This isn't an experiment. This is technology that you want." And also they mention the water chips. They say that they can control which water chips fail and thus which vaults don't get water, which is important because that's what they're actually working on in Vault 33.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is the water chip.
Yeah, which is good. Which is cool to see. Like they're starting to at least like, I guess bridge some gaps at least in terms of that stuff, where it doesn't feel like the vault stuff's just in another corner somewhere. That it feels like that problem is something that's just like it's not totally, not like unheard of, but it's also something that's just like, okay, like the water chip's a big problem, but also Vault 33 is also experiencing this exact same thing. So it's like there's a sense to it. They're starting to cross paths, at least in a way.
Certainly. And that's what Fallout Season 1 did.
Yeah.
Where they all cross paths. So we then go to the ghoul, who is still impaled on that pole. He's slowly starting to go feral because he doesn't have his vials. It looks like it really hurts.
Yeah.
He's really stabbed up the middle with that, and he remembers back to him talking to Barb, and he's like, "Oh, I remember when I proposed to you. Were you a monster then too?" Because like, at this point, Cooper still thinks that Barb plans to drop the bombs.
Yeah, so he's trying to remember his name, and this is like the first time that we have confirmation from a character of him calling himself Cooper Howard instead of like the ghoul in post-war America. He says, "Oh, my name is Cooper Howard. I have a wife and daughter."
Yeah.
Because he's trying to remember like
He's
his
trying
humanity.
to keep it in his mind, so that he doesn't go feral. Lucy then wakes up in a vault, or at least a vault tech facility. She walks out, and then 2 Legion members are walking down the hall. She goes to attack them, but they're actually very polite. She goes and she sees a bunch of people working in this office space doing something, but they're all very polite. They all have mind control chips in the back of their head.
I believe they're building more of mind control chips.
Yeah. Maybe. That makes sense. One of them's a pencil sharpener, though. I don't know what you would need that.
Probably to write stuff down
Maybe.
about
Yeah.
about mind control chips.
Maybe.
Just theorizing.
Lucy then finds a room called the simulation room, which looks just like a regular vault like room, where Hank is. Hank has like set out a like plates and silverware for them to eat. He says that they never finished discussing All Quiet on the Western Front. He says that the most concerning thing about the book is how both sides were fighting over seemingly nothing, just like how they do on the surface. Those are the words he uses. He says things never change, like war.
Yeah, like war never changes, which is a big part of the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then Lucy flips it around on Hank, and she says that she's going to bring him back to Vault 33 to face trial for his crimes, the crime of blowing up Shady Sands. And Lucy, he doesn't fight back, really. He's like, yeah, cool, do that. And then we go back to the Mojave with Maximus and Thaddeus. They abandon the power armor, and they are trying to get they have the cold fusion, right? That's the big thing. Thaddeus says they should sell it. Maximus is like, no. He's like, we need to hand it off to the right person, to a good person, and that person is Lucy specifically. But then Thaddeus continues the bit like, no, we need to sell it. But he says no. The ghoul still on that pole, but he actually pulls himself up, and he almost gets there. He's like this close, and then he slips and falls back down.
Yeah.
It's really painful. But then some huge guy.
A huge cloaked, hooded figure. Very
Frankenstein's monster.
Very Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Yeah, I was about to say, it reminded me of the opening of Frankenstein with Jacob Elordi and the tattered up like hood.
Yeah.
thing.
Listen to our review on Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
He breaks off the pole and he lifts Coop up and drags him off.
So now we know this is, in fact, a super mutant. The first in the series that we do see all these little hints to FEV and, the super mutant hints lead up to this. So,
yeah. I mean, I didn't know that this was a payoff of those hints, honestly. I have a feeling that's something that's going to be revealed later. But, yeah, so The super mutant is played by Ron Perlman, who
Yeah.
I know this one is the narrator for some of the Fallout games.
For
Yeah.
pretty much all of them, most of them, yeah.
Which for me, I didn't know that until
Which is
until
kinda
you told
crazy.
me. Yeah, I didn't know that until you guys told me.
I didn't know that until he told me either.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
didn't know
know
that
it was
until
Ron
Logan told me.
Perlman until you told me.
Yeah, I kind of recognize the voice because like I know Ron Perlman as Hellboy in the Guillermo del Toro Hellboy
yeah.
movies.
I mean, I saw it. We get a little glimpse of his face later on in the episode, and it's like very obviously Ron Perlman.
Yeah,
Like,
it's-
he has a very distinctive face.
Just
Yeah.
Ron Perlman with the green color on.
Yeah.
It's not really too super mutant-y, like with the jowls and the iconic like wrinkles and stuff. It's a little, it's kind of like the ghoul effect. Like it's too smooth. It's too well kempt, in my opinion. But I mean, it goes along with that theme. So
Yeah, which they did a great job like rounding out like some like fun actors to join the supporting cast, whether it's like Kumail Nanjiani or Macaulay Culkin, and now adding Ron Perlman. Like it's just cool
oh
to see
no,
these.
they're gonna kill him off.
Watch out.
They're gonna.
Yeah, it's cool to see the actors like this, especially Ron Perlman, who's involved in the games. Like it's cool to see that in a show like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we go back to Vault 33, where Reg McPhee's Products of Inbreeding support group, Reg McPhee, played by Rodrigo Luzzi, it's booming. There's a really amazing scene where Reg goes on the piano and he starts playing
Playing
Uranium Fever. And everyone's
Yeah.
dancing. The aspect ratio shifts to 4:3. It's great.
It's a
We were all-
really
we
really
were all
cool
moving
sequence.
along.
Yeah,
It's in this amazing sequence.
I love that
And
song.
then it cuts back to the 16:9 boring version, and he was actually playing Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah.
And all the dancing was in his head. But basically, Betty, the overseer of the vault, played by Leslie Uggams, it says like, you can't do this anymore. We have a water shortage. You don't get like extra water because of this club.
Fair enough.
And then
I
Reg
mean,
says no, because this is America, and we get to do what we want because of who our parents were.
very on the nose commentary there.
yeah, a
but
little bit.
Sure.
And also, like, there's a lot of people in that support group now. Like, is that like how many people live in that vault? Because it seemed like majority. Of
I
the
mean,
people in the vault.
I'd imagine most of them are inbred at this point after 200 years. But
Yeah.
There is
you
this
know.
there is this fun scene where there's like a bouncer that rates how inbred you are, and he's like, "No, third cousins just doesn't cut it anymore." Yeah, that's a funny one.
Yeah, because like the uranium fever bit. Like, correct me if I'm
kinda
wrong.
got me
I know.
down.
I'm gonna ask Logan this one. Like, is that a song that's in the games?
I think it's in Fallout 4's
Fallout 4,
radio.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were all.
Because I saw
jamming
people
along.
online talking about it, but I wanted to ask you because
What were they saying?
Because you're the Fallout expert, I know best. Because I saw people like were like reacting to it,
Yeah.
like Fallout fans reacting to it. I didn't know like if it's from a specific game or just.
Yeah, I
like-
think it's from 4.
Yeah. Because like on paper, like it just seems like such a ridiculous scene, but like it works so well, especially with the aspect ratio change. Like it's just a fun little bit.
And like as far as soundtrack goes, they did lean a lot more into songs that hadn't featured in the games, but were still from same time period.
Yeah.
But, so this is a nice nod going back to that, and I think it's good to be moderate in that the usage of those Easter eggy kind of songs and go for like new stuff. Again, I love the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's great. It really sets the tone. Like it really sets the vibe of like the like future retroism.
And
kinda.
always juxtaposes with what's really just happening. I always love when they do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so it seems like Reg actually defeats Betty in that confrontation, and they get to continue their Products of Ingredient.
Yeah, because like he grabs the gel off the cake and eats it.
Yeah,
He's like we're gonna do what we want.
Yeah. We then go to Vault 32, where Davy goes to Chet and is like, "Oh, where's Woody?" And we actually previously saw Woody. I think he found out that Steph, the overseer, and Betty, the other overseer, were colluding in some way. So he seems to have been disappeared. And Davy says something bad about Steph and says, "Oh, I'm sorry for talking bad about your wife." And Chet's like, "That's not my wife." And he says, "Oh, sorry, fiancé." And then he walks through the hallway and he sees a poster that says, "Steph and Chet are getting married tomorrow."
Oh,
And
boy.
he didn't
Oh,
know
no.
about that.
Poor Chet. I've been saying this the whole way through, but poor Chet. I hope he gets justice in the last 2 episodes
Mhm.
because like he's really just been like taken advantage of by Steph. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steph, yeah.
He's got to become overseer
Yeah.
in my head canon.
We then go back to the super mutant and the ghoul. The ghoul is kind of chained up, and the super mutant puts uranium in the hole in his body, saying that there's a war coming. They need him healthy. He says both the ghoul and the super mutant were created by the Enclave.
Yeah.
I don't know really what that is.
The
but-
deep state,
Oh.
pretty much.
Fun.
Yeah, of the United States government. They pretty much went into hiding, and they only revealed themselves in the last days before the bombs fell. And, they persisted ever since. And Wilzig was part of that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ghoul says, like, no, I'm not going to work with you. I'm only staying alive to see my family. And the super mutant says, well, if you're not going to join us, you can't know where we live. And he knocks him out. We then go back to Lucky 38. Cooper is really, really mad at Barb. And Barb basically tells this whole story about why she said the things that she said. We see Barb tell Betty in pre-war to go and find everything that she can about cold fusion, who's in charge of it essentially. And then she runs into Wilzig in the elevator. And Wilzig says, listen, if you don't tell all of the leaders to that they should drop the bombs themselves, I'm going to die. Cooper says, who controls Vault-Tec? Who threatened her, right? Why did she go along with that plan? And she says she doesn't know. And then, Cooper is like, okay, I'll find out. But Barb doesn't want that to happen.
So the idea is that the Enclave is now plays a part in, the companies and the bombs dropping plan and all that sort of stuff. It's still unclear at this point,
Right.
as it always has been, but little hints.
We then go back to the Vault-Tec facility with Hank and Lucy. They walk past this office space, and the snake oil salesman brings in these 2 guys, 2 Legion people. And they're really mad at each other. They have not yet been brainwashed. And Hank says, okay, Lucy, you get to decide if they should press the button and get brainwashed. Lucy says no, so they end up fighting and destroying a bunch of stuff. And then Lucy has to press the button to brainwash them, and they get all kind and nice with each other.
Yeah. And all throughout, like, Hank's trying to say, like, oh, this is, like, the exact thing I'm trying to prevent. Where it's just, like, they're fighting.
He's trying to
Right.
prove a point to her.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. We then go back to pre-war, where Cooper has Hank in his hotel room. He drugs him and has him pass out. He then opens the briefcase to find this weird extractor gun, and he's like, well, this isn't cold fusion. What am I supposed to do with this? And Barb walks in and uses the extraction gun to extract cold fusion from Hank's neck, which is actually where it was.
Yeah, which kind of answers the question, I think, if they had to saw Wilzig's head off in the first season because they couldn't extract the cold fusion.
Right.
That scene really shows like I guess that answers that question of like
How did they do it?
how did they do it? Where it's just like with
Yeah.
Wilzig,
How
it's
did
like
they
they
hide
had
the
to
little
yeah,
thing?
because like with Wilzig, it's like they had to like quite literally saw his head off in order
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, and then we go back to the Mojave with Maximus and Thaddeus, where Dogmeat brings them the ghoul's hat, and they follow Dogmeat to where the ghoul is. And that's the
episode.
episode.
Yeah, a big thing there is that Maximus and Thaddeus meet up with the ghoul, because like I guess it's important to know that Dogmeat was I guess the ghoul was trying to call over to Dogmeat and grabs his hat instead of his satchel, and then Dogmeat runs off with his hat.
Mm-hmm.
Maximus and Thaddeus see Dogmeat with his hat, and they run over, and there's the ghoul sitting on the ground. And the ghoul and Maximus kind of have this rapport. 'Cause, the first season they fought, like clearly didn't like each other, but like I guess the ending of this episode kind of affirms that like they're really starting to bring things together.
Mm-hmm.
To where it's just like the Maximus and Thaddeus stuff like now isn't this other thing.
I'm still wondering where Norm's group is going to play in all this, because I don't really see the path between them and, the final confrontation, whatever that may be, but, it'll probably be surprising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like established like he's on the surface. I wonder if he'll cross paths with anybody, or if he is able to get up from being strangled in the last episode. But
Yeah, Norm's group doesn't make an appearance in episode 6, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's the only storyline that's not represented in that.
Yeah.
Well, now because Lucy's and Hanks have come together, and now Thaddeus and Maximus and the ghouls have come together. Reg McPhee and the 3233 plot's still not really one plot, but I guess it will become one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that episode 6 is the best episode of the season
I
so
agree.
far.
Yeah, I agree.
I have one major gripe with it, and it's the same gripe I had with episode 5, but this one's much more pointed.
Is it the supernatural?
The way they introduce the super mutant feels really mercenary. Like, just really get in, deliver a lore tidbit, get out. And now that counts as setup. It's like, it's every time that like thing came on, I didn't really want to watch it because it was so boring.
It feels a lot more for the fans.
Very much so. It's like, oh, the super mutant. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't know what you're talking about. We were both created by the Enclave. I had to ask you what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't know what you're talking about. And you're spending so long on it. And yeah, it's shot well, but it's also really dark. And this character, this super mutant, is like, should be cool, should be big. And I'm sure for fans of the game, it is cool and it is big. But I have no idea what they're talking about throughout that entire scene. And so now it's like, that doesn't feel like setup to me. That just feels like you put the character in there so that you can use them later without having to feel like it. Like
it felt to me as lore dropping, that they just set it in to just like flesh out some part of the world a little bit. But I'm just glad it didn't take up too much of the ghouls' time, that like they were able to get him back in a place to where it feels like he's not on this totally other thing leading up to the finale, which I appreciated. But I guess in a sense, like the super mutant stuff kind of felt like, I guess the explanation was like, how does he get off the pole to get to where he meets Maximus and Thaddeus?
I feel like it's something they did a lot better in season 1, where they don't just drop on a piece of the game onto you. They introduce it in a more, oftentimes a lot more natural way, where it's part of the story and not just, an Easter egg.
Like, I guess at the same time, like, if the super, like, how does the ghoul get off the pole if he's not there?
right. Well, so here's the thing. This is what it feels like to me. The writers were like, shit. How does the ghoul get off the pole?
Valid question.
Oh,
valid
cool.
question.
Super mutant, right? Super mutant brings them in. Oh shit! Now we have to write him out of the super mutant scene, and it's like that whole sequence is just okay. We wrote ourselves into multiple corners at every time we turn. We've written ourselves into a new corner. Now we have to figure out how to write him off the pole and then really quickly write him off of the super mutant cave. If they had to get him off the pole, what if Thaddeus and Maximus? What if Dogmeat with the hat goes to Thaddeus and Maximus first, brings them back to Freeside, and they get him off the pole? I mean, like, it's different, but I feel like it works. It doesn't introduce the super mutant, but you could definitely introduce the super mutant in a more natural way that doesn't feel like, oh shit, we need some way to get the ghoul off the pole, so we're just gonna do this stilted scene that feels completely out of place.
I think it also depends how the super mutant is going to play a role in these next 2 episodes. Maybe he'll be written off if Maximus and Thaddeus just save the ghoul. Maybe he'll play a bigger part.
Okay, so I mean, first, if he just gets written off, then that whole scene falls apart and is complete bullshit, and this probably falls below episode 5 for me. My issue isn't whether he plays a bigger part. I hope he plays a bigger part, mostly because I like Ron Perlman, but also because, like, I want this character to play a part in this. It's just in this episode and in the context of this episode, it feels thrown in and not interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And a character that is evidently positioned to reveal a lot, right? Like you said, he's connected to FEV. He's connected to the Enclave. He's connected to the Ghoul. He has a lot of connections. He knows a lot. He's ready to shed some light onto some actual world building. But in his first and only scene so far, he made no sense, and I don't know shit about him.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Like, it just wasn't interesting to watch, and I feel like that part of the episode does not work for me. That being said, every other part of the episode is really great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The stuff with Lucy and Hank in the vault, oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That was really, really good.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah, I guess that stuff, it didn't really detract from mine. Like, if it fully distracted the ghoul subplot, I would have had more of an issue with it. But yeah, it kind of just felt like it felt like more fan servicey, but like I mean, unless they do something with it, which I would be shocked if they didn't, especially given that character's role in the video game.
Like, I want to see more of the super mutant, because that's pretty much the only major group that they haven't really touched on yet. If they would have introduced it like they did the Legion or the NCR and gave them some establishment, even though they are like a totally new group to you, like, it would have worked out a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. It wasn't really a satisfying introduction for me either.
Yeah, and also it's something that's just like, it doesn't really raise concerns for me yet, just because like the creators of the show, like with season 1 and with this season a little bit, are like notorious for like not doing that stuff, to where it's just like they're introducing stuff that doesn't go anywhere. You know, if the season breaks the mold and does that, how much of that I don't know. I doubt they'll do it, but like they haven't done that yet. And to where it's just like season 1 impressed me enough. So far season 2 is really impressing me. To where it's just like, for me it doesn't really rise too much of a concern. But I'm not gonna say that I'm totally ignoring it, but it wasn't something that was as big of a criticism for me. But you know, like once the last 2 episodes come out, I'll have more to say about what that stuff means for both the season as a whole, the world building as a whole, and what that means for seasons 3 and beyond. But as of right now, it's something that, you know, I'll address it as being kind of like force in setup for something later. But I guess we'll see where it goes in terms of overarching storyline, world building.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you took the most interesting character, you wrote him into a corner, then for this entire episode his story doesn't make any sense and is not interesting to watch, and then you're passing it off as world building when I don't actually think the world's been built at all. The only thing that I know after this episode that I didn't know before is Ron Perlman is playing a character. I don't know who that character is. I only know that he's a super mutant and what a super mutant is in a more general sense because of Logan. I wouldn't know that from the show. I don't know what the Enclave is. Again, the only way I know that is from Logan. So I don't feel like it's really added that much, and it just made it threw off the pacing, and it made that whole storyline annoying for me.
Yeah, more power to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, episode 6, best one, very dense. A lot of things happen, and yeah, these 2 episodes have been a very good crop. I'd say.
I love what they're doing with this show. I guess in terms of like other video game adaptations, like I feel like this one, like Fallout has had a really good track record so far compared to a lot of other video game adaptations. Like I know Last of Us season 2 kind of went into the gutter, but I feel like so far I feel like Fallout season 1 and 2, it's like it's fairly consistent in terms of quality, in terms of like storyline and world building, and like balancing like bringing the game to life as well as telling a story that fits into the world. I think they're doing a really good job with it, like story wise, character wise. So far I think it's an improvement over season 1.
I mean, so far I think the main storylines have been very interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how they all collide, because I think they all could collide in a really interesting way. And yeah, I think really my complaints with this season, and the reason I think it's actually weaker than the first season right now, is the way they're bringing new stuff in. I haven't liked it since episode 1 of this season. Every time they bring new stuff in, it feels... The only exception is Robert House.
Mm-hmm.
Robert House doesn't feel shoehorned in at all.
Oh, yeah.
I really like Robert House. He's a fantastic character in this season.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do just worry a little about making your big bad for the season the big bad for the series, because how do you, if you're gonna defeat Robert House in this season, which I don't think they will, but if you're going to, how are you going to make it better for the next season? And
here's my question: how do you continue that? Because if you resolve that in season 2, then I'm gonna be like, oh, they just threw a towel over the whole thing.
Right. Well, so that's the thing. If they defeat Robert House, where's there to go in season 3? But also, how do you not defeat Robert House and still make it interesting while not also being a rehash of what they did with Hank McClane? Mm-hmm. Because if the end of this season is just, we finished a side quest, but now the quest has continued to we have to find Robert House. Like if they find Robert House and then they do something with him and then he gets away and then they just have to go and the third season's more of the same, when does it get boring?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me, like I'm not concerned about it. Like, I guess for me, it's just not a concern for me.
I don't
mean,
really know. Like,
It's I
it
fe-
could do anything.
I feel like it's a concern for every TV show. That's just part of it releasing week by week. Is like, oh, I haven't heard any reactions for how they end this thing. I don't know if it's going to be good. But it's not a real criticism against the show.
Yeah, it's more of a like a anticipation for what's to come next, not
Yeah.
necessarily this is why this sucks. There's just
Right,
like
exactly.
Like I said this earlier, like like when you release stuff week to week, it's just like there's always some uncertainty. There's always some things that you have in mind about how they're going to pay things off, but at the same time, like it's that means it's doing its job. Like if you release something week to week, you get people excited, interested, etc.
Yeah.
So therefore, they're going to watch the next episode to see what happens next.
And I know damn well I'm watching the next episode.
Yeah, I feel like it would be really sad if we didn't.
Yeah.
This show is very good. And I know I've kind of been, for the episode that contains my 2 favorite episodes of the season so far, I've been really negative about it.
For the specific part.
For specific parts, but those are also the most interesting parts because Lucy's still a great character. The Ghoul is still fantastic. I mean, Walton Goggins is still pulling for an Emmy, with this performance.
Yeah.
So it's just like I feel like if I'm gonna compliment the show, it's a lot of the same things that I'm complimenting. So what's different about these episodes? Unfortunately, it's something I don't love.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we're both giving like thumbs up, C+ recommends to
C+.
Cooper Howard thumbs
C+
up.
is my highest grade. There's only 3 grades: C- below average, C average, and C+ above average.
There we go.
I'll give it an F for Fallout.
F for Fallout.
But yeah, I'm hoping for all of us that it's not going to just be an Easter egg hunt. Because, going back to, FNAF 2 and
Yeah.
how all that.
If
If I
this
was
is-
in your position now and I knew as much as Max did about the series, I would feel exactly the same
Right.
as you do about the Death Claws and Super Mutants. And I think, Max, you
A little
feel.
bit. Because for me, like when I say world building, it's just like the thing that's being introduced is
yeah.
world building. That's just like the world building is that super mutants exist.
I don't think that's good world building though, and that's maybe that's a me thing, maybe that's a me complaint.
Probably.
I think saying that something exists in this world and not elaborating further is not good world building. It's like if you went to an alien and were like, oh yeah, on this universe, like on this world we have tigers. What the fuck is a tiger? Like I feel like
Yeah.
that it's just not. It doesn't make the world any richer.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make the story any richer, and just the fact that Ron Perlman exists on this world, or a character played by Ron Perlman, doesn't make me any more interested in the world. You
Yeah.
have to actually tell me this is the story of this character, this thing, or else I'm not going to be interested in it because it's just a thing.
Yeah. How does this, in your opinion, fare with how the Brotherhood of Steel is? Because, I think we are all in agreement. We are totally disinterested,
Yeah.
even now.
'Cause I will- yeah.
But that is an established, faction. That is an established part of the world building. So I'm wondering, how is that different? Or is there another part to that makes it disinteresting compared to the Super Mutants?
For me, there's another part. The part is the Brotherhood of Steel has a story. It has a fleshed out story. I think the story is boring as hell.
Yeah.
It's
I
a really bogged down political drama.
I much prefer it in this season than season 1. Season 1 was nonsense in my mind. Like this season, I feel like they do a little bit more with it.
Mm-hmm.
And also they bring it to a resolution. So there's
They
also
just
that.
blow it up.
Yeah.
I mean,
They blow it up,
That's
and there's
part of
also
the
like I wasn't fully
whole
bored.
thing.
Like maybe it's just me. Like I wasn't fully bored when they cut to it. Maybe also because for a couple episodes they bring Kumail Nanjiani alongside
Sure.
Maximus, and then obviously I got concerned when they killed him off, and then you have Maximus by himself. I'm not going to be that interested. Pair him up with Thaddeus, and then now pairing up Thaddeus, Maximus, and the Ghoul now. So it's like okay, like they're more interesting now that they have like a sort of dynamic with each other because
And hopefully Ron Perlman also.
Yeah,
with them.
hopefully.
Yeah. No, and I think the reason that I like season 1 Brotherhood better than season 2 Brotherhood is because Maximus is a better character in season 1. In season 2, Maximus is just so boring.
I mean, he's less in he's in it much less in the season than he is in season 1.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. When you have a good character to sink your teeth into, like Maximus, that gives you an anchor point for the rest of the story. You're experiencing it through his eyes. And his eyes in season 2 are completely disinterested in what's happening, so why should I be interested?
Yeah, because even part of my frustration with season 1 is that I didn't think Maximus was interesting at all. And this season just even more. Like, I said this at the beginning, to where it's just like, of the 3 lead characters, like, Maximus is easily the least interesting.
Plus,
when
like,
he was with Lucy, like, he was a better because of Lucy. Like, he had a dynamic with Lucy, to where it's just like, him by himself is not interesting. And then in this season, it kind of doubles down on that. He's not interesting at all.
every storyline attributed to Maximus, I think, has been at least partially resolved. Like him with Kumail Nanjiani, him with the Brotherhood, him with Lucy, him with Shady Sands. Even they totally resolved Shady Sands. So like, what's the point?
Yeah. And it's just it's a thing where I feel like a lot of interesting world building things they really did away with so quickly.
Yeah.
Where we got
Literally blowing them up.
Caesar's
in most
Legion.
cases.
Caesar's Legion. We meet Macaulay Culkin. We blow up Caesar's Legion. The Brotherhood of Steel. We meet Kumail Nanjiani. We blow up the Brotherhood of Steel. The New California Republic sucks and has no power. The New Vegas Strip is overrun by death claws. It's uninhabitable. What is there in this world? What is actually present?
I feel
because right now it's nothing.
It's a crutch to not totally canonize a single ending, and I feel like they have played that up too much to just instead of saying they're winning, we're just gonna blow them up. Like, could you just not move them somewhere else, or have them be seated in a separate seat with political power in other senses? Like, you can't just do anything other than just kill them off. Like, there's better ways to establish a failed, I guess, faction other than just blowing them up.
Yeah, and here's what I will say as like I guess my like final note and like my thoughts on the season so far is that on a story level, much more on a story level and on a like plot level, and especially exploring a lot of the characters, I think it's vastly an improvement over season 1. However, I feel like the world building, I think they doubled down. I think it's a little bit too much here, kind of for the same reasons that you guys were talking about, to where season 1, I felt like, because, I thought the story was weaker and they do develop in more side quest territory, to where, Lucy's looking for her dad, then she gets distracted by the gold, then she gets distracted by Max, and all of a sudden the last 2 episodes she's doing that. She's back to finding her dad. Where the exploration of the world felt more natural. To where here it's like, even though the story's a lot more like clear,
main quest focused.
Yeah, like it's more main quest focused. You get insight into the character. Like the big standout for me, like they really explore the ghoul, and especially his relationship with his wife, his exploration with Robert House, and like each storyline has stuff to them that I think is interesting to latch onto. But at the same time, like whenever they try to expand the world, it feels more forced here than it did in season 1. Caesar's Legion, the super mutants, to where it's just like it doesn't come as natural as season 1 did.
And to an example of my point, the way they introduced the NCR in season 1 as this power that is trying to reclaim Shady Sands as a point of power before, Hank blew it up, as was revealed in season 2. That's a good way of establishing the NCR as that power. I wish they would have, explored more of that side of it rather than just some random encampment near Camp Golf, like just totally killing them off. I want to see more NCR.
Yeah, and this...
They don't have to control the Hoover Dam.
Yeah, and this, for me, honestly, this season, I think if they don't end it off really strong, I don't think I'm really going to like this season. I think that's the danger right now, and maybe why I'm a little bit more concerned than like you are, because at this point, I don't feel like I have anything to hinge on, right? If we end the season and it's more setup than payoff, there's not like an episode I'm going to be able to point to and say this one did everything right. And especially like, even though I like the stories being set up, if they don't come to anything, I'm not going to be as invested in them come Fallout Season 3 time. And just, I am very concerned that they're not going to use these things and they're going to come back in Fallout Season 3, and this is just going to go down in my head as a really shitty follow-up. And
Yeah.
that kind of sucks.
Yeah,
'Cause I really like Season 1.
Yeah. I'm not concerned at all, and even on that level, that's just like, I can't say for certain, but like I feel like story-wise that they resolve everything. I'm going to disagree with you completely. But I feel like at the end, if they do resolve it story-wise, my biggest complaint will be the world building. But overall, like if it does resolve things on a story level, at least the main objective of this season, I'll prefer it to Season 1.
And again, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
But like
hard.
again, week to week, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Ad
right
nauseam.
now though, I much prefer Season 1. I think Season 1 was like a legitimately fantastic season of television. It was really, really great. Season 2 is just okay right now.
In your opinion,
In
yeah.
my opinion, it's just okay. It has interesting stories. It has the same good characters, but every time it tries something new, it shrinks back from it. And the only new thing they're adding that seems like they're really sticking to is Robert House, and he's so good and he's so iconic that I worry they're not going to let him go. And if they don't let him go and they're going to wait till the next season, what does this season actually bring to the table?
Yeah. Again, I'm really not concerned about that at all. In fact, I have a different perspective on that, but I'll elaborate more when we talk about episodes 7 and 8.
Yeah, and you know what? I could be wrong, and season episode 7 and 8 could be fantastic, and then you'll play back this audio and be like, what an idiot. He thought they weren't going to resolve the plots. But, that's just where I stand right now.
Yeah, because in my mind, like, Robert House is, like, quintessential to the story. You remove him, the story doesn't move as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying. So they're going to hold on to him if they're not going to, like, because with season 1, right, the main objective was Hank. And they resolved the objective with Hank while making room for a new storyline with Hank, right? Because we got to Hank and we had the scene where Lucy confronted Hank and we found out that Hank wasn't what we thought he was. And if we never got a season 2, it's a satisfying ending.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly believe it's, and if they don't end season 2, because look, I'm coming from the perspective where I know there's going to be a season 3, but if season 2 ends and without a season 3 it would be bad, it's just going to be bad.
Yeah, because I disagree with you. I think season 1 would be worse if they didn't greenlight a season 2. Because also, like, the overarching story with Lucy and Hank, I feel like the journey to get there, especially in the middle, was a little rough, at least for me. Because it goes like they jump around from place to place.
I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was really good world building.
Yeah,
that was good world building, exploring them in a way that feels natural, not just we need someone to get the ghoul off the pole. I felt like season 1 did that a lot more naturally.
Yeah, just on a story level, it's more unfocused. But on a world building level, it's more effective. That's what I'm saying. Like on a story level, it's unfocused.
But I think I prefer the unfocused nature because right now, what have the Lucy and the Ghoul done? They were at the outskirts of Las Vegas in episode 1, and it took them 4 episodes to get into the damn place. And now they're back out of it. Like, now the Ghoul's back in the Mojave. Lucy's off doing wherever. Where are we actually getting into the city, Where it's like, season 1, it made sense, like, oh, okay, we know we're going to Moldaver, but it makes sense that they keep getting sidetracked. In season 2, I don't think it makes sense that we're so main quest focused, and what progress have we actually made in post-war, like, story progression? Not a lot. In terms of that main quest, in my opinion, that's how I feel.
Well, the last 2 episodes will make that even more so.
It's a really a make or break situation for these last 2 episodes, for me at least.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts? Any additional thoughts? Any things that we didn't touch on that we wanted to make sure we brought up?
I don't think so. No.
I'll stop
30
ranting.
minutes more on the super mutant bit.
Yeah, let's talk about.
Yeah, add gasoline to the fire.
Yeah, why not? And another thing. No, I'll stop ranting because I feel like I've said my piece more than once.
All right, I guess rating. Are we doing the thumbs up, thumbs down thing? Very with the Fallout poster with Cooper Howard sticking the thumbs up.
The thumbs up. Yeah, all right. Thumbs up or thumbs down? What do you think?
Both of these are thumbs up for me.
I would say overwhelmingly.
I would also I would give both of these thumbs up as well, but not a sustainable thumbs up.
Yeah.
If episode 7 and 8 are exactly like if they're like 5 and 6, I'm not gonna like them.
Yeah.
They need to do so because 5 and 6 did do a lot of things. A lot of storylines are coming together, but that can't be what 7 and 8 is. But I do give these thumbs up. I enjoyed watching them. I feel like it's very important to note that, like, as much as I dog on this story and as much as 7 and 8 could make or break the whole story for me, I like episodes 5 and 6. I think they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, letterbox plugs, I guess.
Sure.
Sure,
Letterbox
yeah.
plugs.
I'm Threnv on Letterboxd. That is THRNV. I don't have reviews for Fallout up because it's a TV show, and that's not what Letterboxd does, silly. I do have a review up for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the second Venom movie. I didn't like it very much, but you can read my thoughts if you're interested.
Yeah. My letterbox plug is MJ Spiegel. That's MJSPIEGEL, all lowercase. I posted a review for Primate. I don't know if I said that on the last podcast episode, but in case I did, it's still up there if you want to read it. I also posted a ranking of all 4 of the 28 Days Later movies. Hopefully by the time this comes out, the Bone Temple review, or our Bone Temple review, will be out, so be sure to check my letterbox for that, as well as other rankings, reviews, or anything I may post on there in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and you can find me on Letterboxd at Invaded Films, INVADEDFILMS. I have been posting reviews for our 2025 movie list that we have reviewed on the podcast, so most of those are up. I have 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple as our latest, and I have other stuff there. I have all the movies that I've watched. I have a review for The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, which was pretty short, so I don't know why I even should mention that.
I mean, it still counts.
Yeah.
I mean, you posted it.
I mean,
Yeah.
sure, but
People
yeah.
can read it.
People can read it.
As always, if you have something to say about what we said, what we didn't say, or if you want to defend the world building of this series or talk about how cool it is that Ron Perlman is a super mutant, go into the comments section, leave us a comment. We'll read it on the next episode of the End Times New Vegas, which will also be the last episode of the End Times New Vegas, which is crazy we're getting to that point.
Which does feel crazy. It's been great reviewing the show. I've loved talking about a show that I love, and I know that, especially for Logan as a huge Fallout fan, and especially for
Jesse as a future huge Fallout fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that is to say, all of us have played at least one Fallout game by this point.
that is true.
Whether
That is
successfully or
true.
unsuccessfully has been attempted.
But more on that, as you will see soon enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, stay tuned after the End Times New Vegas. That will not be the last of our Fallout content. I'll just leave it at that. Keep an eye out on our YouTube community posts page. We've had a couple episodes on the back burner recently. This should have a fairly quick turnaround, all things considered, so I don't know what's really going to be out by the time this comes out. But if you're looking for updates, always check that page. We're posting what we're about to post on there and the progress that we're making. Yeah, with all that being said, roll credits.